Hey everyone, I'm the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a VeVe OMI update video. I still have the Ohio State thing on from the stream that I was just on. Everyone please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. And everyone say hello to Dashy before we get started. Hello, Dashy. So, Wind the Clock's back about a week ago. Sorry. I try to keep the videos a little more serious, but the whimsy sometimes slips out. We had a Lamborghini drop. Lamborghini is one of the most notable brands of just brands in general in the world, not to mention high-end brand of cars. And it's like, oh, they have digital collectibles on VeVe. Probably did pretty well. Well, depends on what you mean by pretty well. They grossed $11,000 worth of their digital collectibles in the first day, and then another like 12 or something thousand the next day. So they grossed about 25,000 in a couple of days. And it's like, oh, well, is that good? Is that bad? Well, if you've been here for VeVe for a while, there are drops that happen with next to no name recognition of the IP that have done more than that. So at that time, it's like, okay, well, it's not really too good then, is it? Like, well, yes and no. It's not good in compared to what VeVe has done in the past, but compared to other, granted, now failed digital collectibles platforms, it's great. Even the ones that are still technically existing and they haven't technically declared bankruptcy yet, it's better than all of them. But that's not really what I want to talk about today. It is a little bit. That drop to a lot of VeVe users was considered a failure. Imagine grossing $25,000 in 2 days and be like, yeah, this is a failure. Such is business sometimes. And then a few days ago, the VeVe fam had gotten word that some of their favorite people in the VeVe community, Corey, aka Old Rhubarb, My Collectibles, and VeVe Magic, were going to be collectibles on the VeVe app through this game called Epico. If you don't know what Epico is, people embraced them when they first started because they basically had Clash Royale, but they made the characters all like Indian folklore characters, and it was really cool. It was fun. The lore was great. The gameplay was good because it was Clash Royale. Like it was fun, and they used OMI in their world, and it's like this is really cool. What I'm also hoping is that as other worlds get built, like let's say Chaos on the Chains. Chaos on the Chains is another like kind of gaming venture. Are they going to have their own token? Are they going to use maybe the daCAT token or Crappy Bird or their own, or OMI? We don't know. Link down below for Crappy Bird and the daCAT contract address. Anyway, in the Epico universe, they had used a version of OMI. There are 4 different types of versions. There is GoChain OMI, which nobody really uses anymore. The Polygon version of OMI for Epico, which you can potentially use if you're on that game, if you're on that universe. But mostly people use Ethereum OMI and they use base chain OMI. But that was still cool that they did that. The VeVe fam embraced them. It was great. And then what VeVe had done, I don't know where this came from. It could be from Epico. It could be from VeVe. But Epico says, like, we have games. Let us make your characters playable in our game. And VeVe's like, okay. And they started with David, the original founder and CEO, and Dan, the COO and original co-founder as well. And then they had one of the Discord mods in there, Eagle Eyes, and basically most likely what VeVe says, like, yeah, we're a lot of the founders, a lot of people love us, this will probably do well. And they sold out that drop. Now, the first drop of, again, we'll bring it back to Lambo, had I don't know, it was like well in the 6 figures. It was either like 129,000 or like 200, like it was like $178,000, I think, the first Lambo drop that happened. Pretty nice. And then the most recent Lambo drop, they grossed like 25 in 2 days. But this first one that they had done with Epico and VeVe, it had done well because it's collectibles of the founders. Their first appearance on VeVe, that means a lot, especially for these hyper successful people that people love. And then their Epico version 2, where it's like, oh, they're okay. They don't take the founders of the company. They took 2 people that work for the company. It's Corey, aka Old Rhubarb, and then My Collectibles, who's the community manager. And then they take VeVe Magic, who doesn't technically work for the company, although she does work for She does work, and that work is for the company. I don't think she's necessarily on payroll, but she's kind of like a mascot. Everyone loves her. I don't think there's anything really bad to say about any of them. I love them all. And when I was like, okay, well, these people like them, but they're not really the founders, and Old Rhubarb and My Collectibles, they used to do content on their own before VeVe had hired them. And VeVe's like, hey, you guys do this really well. You're pretty clean in all this. We would like you to work for us. And they had skill. It wasn't that just like they fit this like mold. It's just they had the skill to go in and be able to make themselves worth it for VeVe to hire them, et cetera, et cetera. And the channels did well. And again, VeVe Magic being like the mascot, she's at every event. She's always making content. She's always on Spaces. She's always doing something. Getting people onboarded. She's really good at what she does. But even still, I was like, well, they're not the founders, and two work for the company, one kind of does. I was like, I still expected the drop to make between 20 and 30,000. I was like, well, wait, Chavez, didn't you just say that the Lambo drop only made 25,000? And this is like a declining usership that we have going on here, and NFTs are so last narrative. I could make a whole other video about the re-rise of NFTs as it's going to happen, whole other subject. But Chavez, do you think that, just a week later when Lambo didn't do so well, that these three characters, that they could do well from a game? I don't know what Epico is. I don't know who any of these people, like everyone at least knows Lambo. You can get some of the people from Lambo maybe into the drop. But for these guys outside the VeVe fam, and the most recent list you showed, there's since February 11th, there hasn't been a single day where you've had over 1,000 users. Max, it's been 900 something users per day. At minimum, it's been like 716, 760, whatever. And it's like, okay, fair point. But these are people that people love, and I think 20 to 30,000 is fair. And then they surprised me. And then they go off and they do, it's like, I remember having to do something at like 11:52, like 52 minutes after the drop, and they had sold most of the product, like 49,000, and then like a half hour later, boom, sold out, grossing $52,000 inside of 2 hours. And I was like, okay, this could mean one of two things. And the direction I'm going to take this could mean anything. It's like, okay, they did it because of this drop, whatever. How many times can you do that? That's not an infinite supply. Correct. It's not an infinite supply of people that are beloved enough to sell out collectibles. And it's like, okay, well, even though they did sell out, there's obviously fees on the app, and then obviously they're going to have to split this because it is Epico. They have to split that. And I don't know if any of the people like My Collectibles or VeVe Magic or Old Rhubarb, if they get any piece of that, I don't know. If they did, it would likely be a small amount. And it's like, well, VeVe's got to share a lot of this revenue, right? Yeah, they'll have to share some. But what if next time they didn't? What if next time they said, hey, who wants to be... They could reach out to the people that people would like to buy. They could reach out to Foster Hill. They could reach out... Who works for Akomi. Reach out to Puddin' Cheeks, who... I don't know if he works for Akomi or not, but he's helped the team in the past. And then maybe Dr. Profit, who's, creator stacker. Be like, hey, do us a favor. Could we do a drop of you guys, and we'll give you a little OMI, like whatever thing they could come to. They don't have to do it from Epico. They don't have to pay whatever they pay. I don't know, 30%. They don't have that extra 30. I'm just making up numbers here. But let's say Epico were to gross 30% off that. It's like, okay, it's 15-ish thousand-ish. What if next time VeVe said hey, let's go to the people directly and say what if we did these things for you? And now obviously if you're VeVe, it's like, okay, what do you have to do? You have to pay the people to make collectibles of them. They have to be good. These ones were animated, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it's worth it for VeVe to go in and pay Epico to do that again. I don't know if it is or not. But this proves that you don't need to be a founder. You don't need to be one of the people that is responsible for the VeVe app. You might be responsible for the success of some Akomi token or some part of the app, some users getting on, but you don't need to be a founder. And I don't know if that was considered or talked about before this event. If I were VeVe, I would have been a little worried about this drop, being like, guys, Lambo did not do what we were expecting. What is this going to do? I would be worried that like none of these would sell, and you would have like maybe $5,000 worth. But it didn't. Again, I expected the 20 to 30,000, but this I think suggests or confirms that you could take almost anyone, as long as the drop price is right, as long as the collectibles look cool, and as long as you have, like, they had a couple people talking about it and a bunch of people posting after the fact of their collectibles. They don't have to do this all the time, but I think if they did this once per month and they went on and said, okay, community stuff, and again, it could be with Epico, it doesn't have to be, but if they did this once per month, that's an extra $500,000, like just $600,000 in just stuff that they can kind of create themselves. And even and let's say they get, you know, lion's share of that, majority 50, 60, 70%, whatever. Maybe they could get even more of that if they own the characters. Be like, hey, Foster, sign this. Puddin' Cheeks, sign this. Dr. Prophet, sign this. Maybe they have the whales do it too. Like Mr. MC1, I'm almost positive would sign away anything. I was like, yeah, make a collectible, like, because to a lot of people, like big whales will do like Dr. Fuse. We'll do some of the level 100s here. We'll do Mr. MC1. We'll have like Dr. Fuse. Bezojman's really private. Let's say Mark Quinn. Mark Quinn's a new level 100. If you give these three guys of Dr. Fuse, Mr. MC1, and again, we'll save Dr. Prophet for later or another time. But then you do that with Mark Quinn and be like, hey, let us do this for you, and you could be remembered forever. And they could pitch it in a way that you will be immortalized, and people will have you next to their partner statue. They'll have you next to the first appearance of Mickey Mouse, and that's how they could sell it, and that's how they don't have to pay any money at all. And they could keep the majority of this. That extra 600, and they could do that for at least the next year. And I understand, like, okay, well, Chavez, $600,000 isn't really like a ton of money. Like, I get it, but I would rather go in the direction of having that versus not having that. And again, that's if they decided to go that route. They could be a little nicer if they wanted to, which I personally would not. But they do take care of their people, and they could be like, hey, let's reach an agreement. Let's, you know, maybe they keep Epico in there. Maybe they give them like 0.1% of the sales, whatever. Or they give them like a super low mint, whatever it is. But the point is that they have options, and this is just a new avenue that they can go to. Hey, you know what? We really want to get this something, but it's going to be like an extra 30, 40 grand. Oh, perfect. Let's do another VeVe drop, specifically for these guys. Another option they would have is they could buy a content creation company, and then they could have people like create these characters. They could do something like that. Or they could go to like a popular like children's book or something that's an already established IP, and then just buy the IP and then have different collectibles for it. Because this way, right now they don't have any of their own IP. They have the Okomi logo, and they have the VeVe logo. And those are great, but those are kind of already done. Like, there's only so many times you can remake a VeVe logo, which they've done several times already. I think that getting their own IP is the next step to a lot of profit generation for the company. And as you guys may or may not know, based on my other videos, my next goal is 1 billion OMI. And I'm not gonna lie, I probably won't get it. I'm going to either get it or move mountains trying. But even if I get to 500 million, that's fine. I'm insanely bullish on this company. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. I love their OMI token. The OMI token did pretty well today, just because they announced VeVeVerse yesterday. So after X amount of years, you happen to have a firm date for VeVeVerse. So it's up about 10% on the day. Oh God, where is that? That is mirrored, so you can't really tell. It's at 0.00299. It had gone up to 0.000 like 3.3, 3.4. Anyway, this video is getting a little long, so please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I hope I was a little less whimsical. All right, I love you guys.